Hey everybody, welcome back to In Bed with a Millennial. I'm the Millennial, Javeda Bay, and this is my bed. And it is the month of February, which means it's the month of love, relationships, and all that jazz. But not just like the regular monogamous, like romantic relationships, all forms of love and relationships, because Valentine's Day is not just for people who are married or in a committed relationship. It's for everybody because love belongs to everyone. Everyone deserves love in all different shapes and forms. So this month we're going to be talking about that love and relationships, in all the different forms that are not just traditional monogamy, because you're probably gonna get enough of that from just like every commercial on TV and like every business and corporation that you were signed up for the email list for. So I don't need to add to that. I'm just gonna expand your horizons on the different ways that you can engage in love and relationships. So let's get to it. So today we're going to be talking about how to open up your relationship, and this one is directed towards a more romantic or sexual relationship, because that's where I want to start today. So what? Why are we talking about this, Javay? We're talking about it because non-monogamy, opening up your relationship, is definitely becoming more popular or mainstream, for lack of a better adjective. Thanks to things like TikTok and Instagram and just the internet in general. Like, it's more common knowledge. People are being able to share, like, this is how I practice non-monogamy. This is like what my life looks like being non-monogamous. People are sharing it, and people are like, oh, that's a possibility. It's things that we didn't know was on the table before, because we've been spoon-fed this idea that this is the way that you're supposed to do life. But that doesn't have to be it. So because it's becoming more popular, a lot more people are having their interest peaked. They're like, I wonder, do I wanna, I don't know. So let's talk about how to have that conversation with a partner, because more than likely, if you are thinking about opening up your relationship, you're in a relationship. So how to have this conversation with your partner. First things first, I want you to throw all expectations about this conversation out the window. If you think that you're gonna walk in and there's gonna be this piece of cake, like, oh, blah 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 blah, let's do it. It could happen depending on your partner, but the likelihood is that it is probably not going to play out like that. So throw out these expectations. Throw out the expectation that it is going to be a one-time conversation. I encourage you to make it not a one-time conversation. It should not be a, hey, I think we should open up our relationship. Cool, let's do it, and that's the end of it. That's not going to go well. There should be a lot more to the conversation and a lot more spread out over a long amount of time. So get ready to spread out this conversation. And also, do not put a deadline on it. Don't be like, all right, cool, we'll talk about it during the month of February, and by like March 25th, we'll have an open relationship. Putting a deadline on it is going to add stress to the conversation, add stress to your relationship, and probably not get you to where you want to be. So no deadlines. Start the conversation when you feel ready to, but do not have an end date on it. Do not have okay, by June 30th. I don't know if there's 31 days in June, but by the end of June, I'm going to have me a new girlfriend, because yeah, that's where we're going to be. No deadlines. So now that you've thrown out the expectations, I want you to come to yourself. I want you to take some time and truly sit and reflect on why you were interested in opening up your relationship. Because if you were interested in it for the wrong reasons, it's not going to go well for you, your partner, the potential person you're trying to bring in. Like, not going to go well. So take some time. If you sit and you're like, why do I want to open up my relationship? And the reason is like, I want to have sex with more people. If that's your sole reason, probably need to reevaluate your commitment to being in a relationship. Which is like, there's no shame in that. Like, maybe right now is not the time for you to be in a monogamous, committed relationship. Maybe you're like, I actually just like want some time to myself, to be like a free little bird and explore all the different things that I want to explore without feeling like I have like commitment or ties to someone else. That's totally fine and normal, and that's okay. But you should probably express that to your partner, not try and open up your relationship to try and like fill that need. If you're like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it, so I think we should give it a try. Just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean you need to. So that's your reason. Maybe reevaluate. If your reason is because, oh, actually, I have been interested in exploring this aspect of my sexuality, my identity, some facet of me that this partner that I currently am with does not want to explore with me or is not interested in, or whatever those reasons, that is a good starting point to being like, maybe I want to open up a relationship. Like, you don't want to leave this partner because they obviously fulfill so much for you, but there's another aspect of you. Like, if you want to open up to find someone that's kinky because your partner's like, actually, I'm not into kink. I don't have any interest in doing any of that with you. Then opening up your relationship might be a good way for you to explore your kinky side while still being committed to the person that you're already committed to. So explore the reasoning behind why you want to actually open your relationship, because if it is rooted in like a selfish thing or like a, oh well, if you do it you can just sleep around thing, no, no, no. So then, how do you start the conversation? Well, as I say with everything, one, don't start it in the bedroom. Please, please, please don't do that. Start it somewhere neutral. Like, honestly, like, go and be like, hey, can we, like, take a walk in the park? Somewhere that is, like, not creating, like, a environment that there should be expectations, okay? So somewhere really neutral is a great place to start. Also, if you're someone that's like, I don't want to address this, like, head on. Like, I don't want to, like, start the conversation verbally. What am I going to tell you? Using social media. There's plenty of accounts out there that you can use to like be a starting point for the conversation. Hey, this video is a great one. Send it to them. Be like, hey, how would you feel about having a conversation around opening up our relationship? Start the conversation with them via a way that you're comfortable with. Because it's not everyone's strong suit to just walk into a room and be like, hey, actually, you know what? I was thinking this thing. Some of us are a little more tame and we're a little bit more reserved and we're like, ooh, I don't know how to do this. Use social media as a tool. Also, like, don't have it in a, like, read the room. Read the room before trying to initiate this conversation. If your partner came home after a really crappy day at work and they had to deal with Karens and Chads out the wazoo and no one tipped them after making, like, bomb freaking drinks as a barista, do not try to have this conversation. No, you need to actually just like table it, and you need to go run a bath, start their shower, whatever. You need to care for them. You don't need to drop this on them. Like, they need to be in a calm, relaxed state, not in a already agitated state because the world is the world and they had to deal with it, okay? So now that you know like ways to start it, you also need to be prepared that it probably may not go the way you expect. And like you might think that your partner's just gonna be like real chill and like, hey, okay, huh? It could also go in a way where your partner does not react in the most positive way, because depending on how it is interpreted by them and what they're hearing, it could sound a lot of different ways. And so you need to be prepared for whatever type of reaction it can be. And like, granted, you can only prepare so much, but just being prepared that maybe it's not going to immediately be like, okay, I'm intrigued. Yeah, let's keep talking about this. It may be a, what? I'm sorry, I'm going to need a moment because, what the French toast? It can go a lot of different ways. So be prepared. But before you actually have the conversation, please do your research, because you should know what it is that you're exactly thinking of. If you're just like, hey, I think we should open our relationship and be non-monogamous, your partner's probably going to have a lot of questions on their own. So do your research so you can at least answer some of those initial questions, like the more entry questions. And then give them time to do their research. But like, don't just be like, hey, we should open our relationship up, and then just like sit there when they're spewing questions and you're like, I don't know, I didn't think that far. Like, do your research. Javay, where do I start with my research? I'm so glad you asked. There are a lot of books out there. I highly recommend The Ethical Slut. It's a great starting place. Go get that book from your local bookstore. Read it. Then have your partner read it. You also have podcasts. If you're a podcast person, go listen to podcasts. Normalizing Non-monogamy is a great one. And then lastly, there are so many different social media influencers and educators that talk about non-monogamy. Two of my favorites, Polyamorous While Asian and Chill Polyamory. Great resources to actually learn more about polyamory and non-monogamy. Their profiles have a lot of information, especially like more book recommendations. If you are more of a cerebral learner and you're like, I just want to read about it, Javay. Great, they got books. There's obviously more podcast recommendations also on lots of pages. If you're like, I would like to listen to somebody, like listen to some real live application of all this. Podcasts are great. So definitely do your research, follow resources, and give your partner the time to do their research. Sure, you may answer some initial questions, but they may come up with more. And I'm just going to say it out loud. You're not a pro at this. So, let them do their research with people who know more and have more experience in the world of non-monogamy, and then let them come back to you to continue the conversation. That's why I said, it's not going to be a one-time conversation, because more than likely there will be questions. So just be prepared for that. But also, like, deep breaths, take it slow. Know that you don't have to. If the conversation starts building and you're like, wait, I think that we're getting a little worked up right now and it's not going to be productive, guess what? Time out that conversation. It doesn't all have to happen at once. But just know that the conversation can always happen and you don't have to actually follow through with it. It could just be hey, this actually seems intriguing to me in this moment. And then you go and you're like, actually though, nah, I'm good. I thought that maybe, but I'm not. I don't need. We're good. It doesn't have to lead anywhere, but you can have the conversation if you want. But yeah, just take your time. Do your research. Please do your research. And yeah, make sure you have subscribed to my YouTube channel. You have liked this video. You shared it with your partner or friends who have told you that they might be interested in opening up their relationship. And you are following the Instagram. You're following me on TikTok and on Twitter. And you most definitely have subscribed to my email list and have bookmarked my website, themillennialsexpert.com. But yeah, that is that. Happy February, all. Get ready for a good month together. And yeah, I'm going to see y'all later. Deuces.